Check this.
Hello, this is Socially Triggered, and this is going to be about the recent movie Deadpool 2. I watched the movie, and I'm a big fan of Deadpool. I have an original first appearance of Deadpool, and I've been a big fan of him for a long, long time. And I really enjoyed the first movie. And I actually have to say that I didn't mind this second movie, but I had some major issues with it. So there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this video, so if you're not interested in hearing Deadpool spoilers, I recommend you stop the video now because there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So when I watched the movie, I was very surprised. I thought it was very social justice-y. I was amazed because the thing that I always enjoyed about Deadpool is the fact that he was very irreverent. He said what he thought, and he didn't care if it hurt people's feelings or whatever. But this Deadpool was not that. He was everything but irreverent. He was more about social justice and very anti-white. There was a real anti-white message that was being portrayed in this movie. And I'll give you a bunch of examples, and you can think about, if you've seen the movie, you'll see where I'm coming from in these examples. So one of the first things that happens in the movie is they go to this orphanage where there's this rather obese child that is in trouble. He's got flames for hands and he's doing a lot of damage. And when Deadpool arrives on the scene, he gives sort of a wink and a fist bump kind of thing to a black police officer. And then he sees next to that black police officer an orderly from this orphanage. And he immediately sort of says, well, you kind of have that pedophile look to you, to this orderly. And it just seemed really strange. Later, he talks to the boy, and the boy kind of suggests that he was abused. And without question, without even, debating whether or not, without trial or anything, he just goes and shoots the orderly for crimes against this boy. So it was just very extreme. Here's this anti-hero, but he's still a hero in many ways. Deadpool just executing people without real reason, without even considering that maybe, or even knowing what the crime was against that person. It was just very extreme. But that was actually one of the more tame things in terms of the not so subtle racism in the movie towards white people. Later in the movie, there's a scene where Deadpool is sitting in Xavier's wheelchair, and he's just rolling around the halls of the Mutant Academy. And he's looking at the pictures on the wall, and all the pictures are of older white men. And he's commenting, oh, this is like a gallery of rapists. As if all white men are just a bunch of rapists. It was very strange. And then later, there was a character called Zeitgeist, which is a term that's associated with the Nazi movement. It's actually a German word meaning a white spirit or white nationalism, or not white nationalism, German nationalism. And that character was basically chopped up in a wood chipper. And there was this, and the reason he was chopped up is when they parachuted out of the airplane, all of the characters die except for the one black woman and Deadpool. So all the white characters die, all the white superheroes. And the girl, her trait was that she's just naturally lucky. And I thought it was actually pretty cool. I thought she was a pretty cool character. She was Mary Sue. Just everything goes her way. So it was kind of awesome. All the people who were white were either one of three things. They were either child molesters or pedophiles. They were either rapists or racists. There was another scene in the movie where Cable is trying to discuss with Deadpool about the plan that they're going to initiate. And they're sitting in the cab with Deadpool's Indian friend, and there's Indian music playing on the radio. It says, can you turn the music down or turn it off? And Deadpool's like, oh, stop being so racist. This is his culture. This is, and he gets into this big cultural spiel. And then he starts playing with the hair of his Indian friend as if this poor oppressed Indian is being oppressed by this evil white man. And it was, again, just really strange humor. In a different scene, a different time, there was a criminal who was called White Panther or something like that. I forgot his name. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. But he was basically a character who was white and had dreadlocks. And Deadpool sort of calls him out on cultural appropriation. I mean, it was just embarrassing almost. And then there was another scene where the fat kid, who's basically the main focus of the story, he's basically talking about how he couldn't become a superhero because of the fact that he was fat, and that there was a real problem with acceptance as a fat person as being a superhero. And yet we think of most of the X-Men stories, there's actually many characters who are heroes that are actually overweight. So I just thought it was very strange. So it's a lot of these kind of social justice-y kind of things. And then another thing was they had a openly lesbian couple in the movie, and that was totally accepted, and it was kind of celebrated in the movie. It was just, I don't mind lesbian couples. I have nothing against it, but it's just so weird that if it wasn't pushed like a million times, I would have been fine with it. But it was just really in your face and didn't have to be. These were the kind of things that bothered me about the Deadpool movie. There was a lot more. There was a lot of kind of weird, suggestive pedophile kind of stuff going on with Deadpool. When he sort of gets chopped in half and then he regrows a baby bottom, and he basically gets touched by the blind woman, which is kind of inappropriate. So it was just a lot of weird stuff, and it seemed very just too social justice-y. I wish they would kind of tone that down and just focus on being kind of edgy and cool, rather than sucking up to this whole diversity is a strength and social justice issues. Just be a funny movie. Just be a place to be entertained. I went to the movie after a long, stressful week, and I just wanted to be entertained and not have to deal with more social justice crap. So I was just very disappointed by the movie in that respect. Other than that, it was okay. It was an okay movie. Not as good as the first one. I'd love to hear people's comments about Deadpool, if you saw any of this social justice stuff yourself, and what you thought of it. And please comment, like, and subscribe. This has been Socially Triggered. Bye for now.